Hi, I'm going to attempt to do my, excuse me, my TBR. Several things going against me here. Sick, still, coughing. Outside is crazy smoke, unhealthy for everyone, not sensitive groups, but everyone. Wild dog somewhere. There she is. Wild dog. I'm going to attempt to stand up while I do this. Just got out of the shower, so hair is wet. And I am going to also try to, since I'm stuck inside all day because of sickness and smoke, I'm going to try and finish the Moonstone today, which I'm reading for Victober right now, and also rearrange the living room. So let's go ahead and try and do a TBR. This, my friends, is my TBR, and I'm not going to sit down to do this because I'm doing my TBR in a different way. So let me just focus first on this stack of books really quickly, and then I'm going to spin a wheel to help me decide the first 10 books I will read for November, because there are two things going on in November. There's a lot of things going on in November, but there are two that I want to participate in. One is Nonfiction November, and that is this first stack of books here. The other is the Bloomin Readathon, hosted by some wonderful people who I will link below. I'm not sitting down because when I do, the puppy, we all know. So I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I possibly can, and then find out which 10 I am going to start reading, and start the reading month with, and then I'll sit down with those 10 and go more in depth into what they are about and the prompts for those two readathons that they will fulfill. So let's do that first. Or let's go through these first. So the possibilities for Nonfiction November are here. We've got Fierce Bad Rabbits, The Ravine, Godwalk, Secrets of Sprakar, I'm not sure how to say that, I think it's an Icelandic word, The Betrayal of Anne Frank, Uncultured, Agatha Christie. In there, this is the biography by Lucy Worsley, but inside here there is Come Tell Me How You Live by Agatha Christie, and then Lost Companions. And then I do have two stacks of fiction, and, well, I guess there's some nonfiction in here too, but we'll just go in here. We'll just go stack by stack. So this is actually Bean's Big Book Bash pick, which is the Book of Strange New Things. Witch Hat Atelier, this is the 4th volume, but I have the 3rd volume over here in this stack. The Daughter's Walk, The Princess Will Save You, The Forgotten Garden, The Good Earth, a graphic novel adaptation. I've read The Good Earth, but this intrigues me. Rebecca, which is my reread for the month. Hell Sands, Letters of a Note Dogs, My Good Life in France, H is for Hawk, The Air Affair, A Psalm for the Wild Built, Great or Nothing, which is a retelling of Little Women, Pashmina, Haven, Hope's Highest Mountain, the other volume of Witch Hat Atelier, and A Far Wilder Magic. So these are the possibilities. I am going to spin a wheel and let that determine for us which 10 books I will be reading. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'm gonna do now is cut to each spin, and then you'll see the sit down talk about those 10 books. Okay, so not the most beautiful background in the world. I'm working on it. We're trying things out. We're testing things out. It's still new space for me and puppy. But I have cordoned myself off and given her a bone, and I am sitting at a table, and hopefully we can get through these 10 spins that came up. So this is the Bloomin Readathon grid, and then And I'm trying to get, my personal goal is to get at least 2 bingos. I would like to try to get 2 bingos. I don't know if that will happen, but we'll see. And then there are 4 prompts for Nonfiction November, and these are them. So some of the books on this stack work for both Nonfiction November and the Bloomin Readathon, and some of them work for one or the other. The first spin went like this. Secrets of the Sprakar. I don't know how to say this. It, I think, is an Icelandic word. And this fulfills the Nonfiction November prompt of secret, in that it is about what Icelandic women are getting right. So it says Iceland's extraordinary women and how they are changing the world. It says it's a fascinating window into what a more gender equal world could look like and why it's worth striving for. So what is Iceland's secret? And then it also on the Bloomin Readathon bingo board stands for tree. The symbol tree, which is the nonfiction pick. So, double duty, excited to read this one. I picked it up on a whim. I've always been, oh, it's so pretty on the inside, I didn't even notice. I've always been so interested in Iceland, and I have yet to go, but I would really like to. Next, the wheel did this. With The Ravine by Wendy Lower. And this is a really interesting one. This stands for record because it is a Slovakian photographer. It's about a Slovakian photographer who snaps a picture of an air massacre in the Ukraine, like outside, like public massacre in the Ukraine during World War II, during the Holocaust. And that photograph becomes a record, and it is a really brave act of resistance that this person snapped this image in the first place. But it's more than that, but that's why it fits, for me in my mind, it fits the prompt of record. But this says that in 2009, Wendy Lower was shown an exceptionally rare photograph just brought to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. A Ukrainian shooter's rifle is inches from a woman's head, obscured in a cloud of smoke. She is bending forward, holding the hand of a barefoot little boy, and only one of the shocking revelations of Lower's brilliant 10-year investigation of this image. The photograph reveals the shins of another child slipping from the woman's lap. Lower's forensic and archival investigation into this single photograph in Ukraine, Germany, Slovakia, Israel, and the United States recover astonishing layers of detail concerning the open-air massacres in the Ukraine, the identities of the mother and children of the killers, and remarkably of the Slovakian photographer who took the image as a secret act of resistance, are dramatically uncovered. Finally, in this harrowing chronicle that casts the Holocaust in a stark new light, a single image unlocks a new understanding of the place of the family unit in the ideology of Nazi genocide. Sounds very, very upsetting and very, very fascinating. This also will be no surprise that it fits the spider symbol on the bingo board for Bloomin Readathon. It is my pick for a dark read. And this is what the wheel did next. So the wheel picked a fiction fiction for me, so obviously this does not fit with Nonfiction November, but this does fulfill the green carnation prompt, the symbol on the bingo board for the green carnation, which is LGBTQIA plus storyline or characters or author. And I don't really know anything about this story. I know that every book by Emma Donoghue I've ever read features some kind of LGBTQIA plus storyline or theme, representation, and so I am going out on a limb here and assuming that that will be the case. Even if it does not, I do believe that Emma Donoghue is a part of that community. So I think that I have my bases covered here, and I'm really excited to read this. I got this as a pre-order a couple of months ago, and I haven't gotten to it yet. That is the story for a lot of books as the year ends, but that's what the wheel picked. This is what the wheel did next. Another fiction book. Again, this does not fit for Nonfiction November, but this does fit for the Bloomin Readathon, and this fits the prop symbol for propagation, an adaptation. This is an adaptation of the book Little Women, which has many film adaptations, manga adaptation. I'm sure it has a graphic novel adaptation. It's been rewritten many, many times. It has a play and a musical. It has been adapted. So my bases are covered. This is a YA, and it's set in World War II, and it takes the four March sisters and plants them in a different era. And I'm really excited to read this and experience the March sisters in a whole new way. And it is by many authors. It is by Joy McCullough, Carolyn Tongue Richmond, Tess Sharp, and Jessica Spotswood. So 4 sisters, 4 authors. I like that. I like that a lot. This is what the wheel did next. Another fiction for me. So again, doesn't fit for Nonfiction November, but it does fit for the Bloomin Readathon, and this is going in my free space. I'm sure it fits other things, but this just came in and was not part of my original planning when I pulled my stack together. So this is a book that just arrived a couple of days ago for me as a pre-order. I forgot that I pre-ordered it. I forgot that it existed. I don't know where I heard about it, but I must have heard about it on BookTube, probably, and pre-ordered it from there, probably the day I heard about it, promptly forgot about it, and then it arrived. And I'm so excited because it sounds amazing. Hell Sands by Ever Dundas is a sci-fi dystopian fiction told from 2 perspectives, and there are 3 parts to the book. The first 2 parts can be read in any order. You can read the first person's, what are their names? Icho and Jane. You can read Icho's story first, or you can read Jane's story first. It doesn't matter. And then the third part you have to read last because it pulls those 2 characters together. This is about a society in which the government is using a font, you know, like letters, a font, that subdues the population no matter what the content of the reading material. So it could be saying like, you will die in 24 minutes, and the people reading it will feel a great sense of peace and calm. Unless you have an allergy to that font, in which case you become extremely ill every time you read it. And so I am really curious about the storyline. That's the basic concept. I don't really know the story, but I am intrigued. So that's what the wheel did next. Here's what it did after that. nonfiction, but I'm not counting this one for Nonfiction November. I mean, I will, but it doesn't fulfill any of the prompts for Nonfiction November, except for it could be record, maybe a record of their life. But this is a book I tried to read in the summer and didn't get to. You can see my puppy got to it. Probably the first or second day I brought her home. But this is My Good Life in France in Pursuit of the Rural Dream by Janine Marsh. And this is a memoir of an English family that buys property in France and moves there. And I am a sucker for these stories. I love them so much. They are usually meandery and nothing really exciting, super exciting happens. They're just slice of life. And I love them. And so many people have written them, and they make me want to go and live in rural France. That would probably not be a good idea for me. I don't speak French, but I love reading about people who do this. This fits for me on the Bloomin Readathon, the sun prompt, the sun symbol, which is the book that makes you happy prompt. This is what the wheel did next. For me, it picked a very short fiction for me. This is a young adult or a middle grade graphic novel called Pashmina by Nidhi Chinani, and it is about the immigrant experience. I am using this to fulfill the ladybug symbol on the bingo board, the ladybug prompt, which is a book that's cute on the outside but has the potential or the power to ruin you. This definitely fits the cute factor for me, for sure. And I don't know that it has the potential to ruin me, or I don't know that it will ruin me, but I know that it is blurbed here by the author of American Born Chinese, which is another graphic novel, which was really, really like impactful for me when I first read it. And I think that rather than ruin me, this could probably be very impactful. I'm counting it for the ladybug. We're gonna go with it. And this says that it is about Priyanka Das, who has many unanswered questions. Why did her mother abandon her home in India years ago? What was it like there? And most important, who is her father? And why did her mom leave him behind? But Pri's mom avoids these questions. The topic of India is permanently closed. And so I do think this has the potential to emotionally impact me. I don't know about ruin though, but I'm gonna count it for the ladybug. Then the wheel did this. One book that I put on my pile that I was hoping wouldn't get picked. I do want to read this and I don't want to read this. I don't read books about animals that are in pain or hurt or confused or harmed, but this is a nonfiction book that I picked up on the recommendation of a friend after Joey passed away. And it is called Lost Companions: Reflections on the Death of Pets. And it says it's highly recommended for all animal lovers who inevitably must deal with the death of their pets. I do think that I'm at a point now where I could read it. I could barely buy it when I picked it up the first time. This is going to be a hard one for me. I am going to give it a try. I do think that it will be cathartic for me and probably quite uplifting to read. But this is going to fulfill the cloud prompt on the bingo board for Bloomin Readathon. The Cloud is a book that you think is going to make you emotional, and I definitely think this will fit the bill. This also fits with Nonfiction November for the border prompt, because it is about animals that have crossed the border from life into death. I could get real cheesy and say something like they've crossed the border of our hearts as well. I won't, but I did, so you see what I did there. 2 more spins. The wheel did this next. Fiction book for me. This is going to be the book that I use to fulfill the mole symbol, or the mole prompt, which is a strong antagonist. And to be quite honest, I don't know if it has a strong antagonist or not, but I think it does. So this is The Princess Will Save You by Sarah Henning. I love the artist who does these covers. It makes me want to read more YA. Every time I see a cover done by this artist with this very distinctive style, I'm like, ooh, I want to get that. Ooh, I want that. And that is how I ended up with this book. I picked it up a while ago. I tried to listen to it on audio maybe 2 years ago, and just got distracted. I didn't not like it. I just got distracted and pulled in other directions. But now I would like to actually read it. Excuse me. And so this, I think, does have a strong antagonist. It says that this is a fresh and feminist fantasy adventure inspired by The Princess Bride. And it says, when her father dies, Princess Amaranda is given an ultimatum: marry the leader of a neighboring kingdom or lose her crown and possibly her life. To force her hand, her beloved, the stable boy Luca, is kidnapped. But Amaranda was raised to be a warrior, not a sacrifice, and nothing will stop her from saving her true love and rescuing her kingdom. And when I think about The Princess Bride, I do think that there are some very strong antagonists in The Princess Bride, which is what has guided my choice of mole for the prompt that this book is fulfilling on the bingo board. And for my last spin of the first 10 books that I will read, maybe the only 10 books that I will read for the month, who knows, is this one. Nonfiction book, Fierce Bad Rabbits: The Tales Behind Children's Picture Books by Claire Pollard. And this is only going to fulfill one of the prompts for Nonfiction November. This is another prompt fulfillment for Element. Did I already do Element? No, I didn't. Oh, I have one for each. I have one for Element, for Secret, for Border, and for Record. Awesome. Thank you, Spinning Wheel. You did that so well. So I now will, with these 10 books, will have read one for each of the prompts for Nonfiction November. That's awesome. Anyway, this is Element. And that is because, I have a little note for myself as to why. That is because picture books are elemental. They're foundational to the founding of our childhood experience of the world. And so that is how this is fulfilling the prompt of Element for me. And this one says on the back, what is the tiger who came to tea really about? How is Meg and Mog related to Polish embroidery? And why does death in picture books involve being eaten? Fierce Bad Rabbits explores the stories behind our favorite picture books, weaving in tales of Claire Pollard's childhood reading and her rediscovery of the classic tales as a parent. Because the best picture books are far more complex than they seem, and darker too. Monsters can gobble up children and go unnoticed. Power is not always used wisely, and the wild things are closer than you think. I'm just really excited to read this. It sounds like a great work of nonfiction about something that I really enjoy, which is picture books. And so I am curious to know what it's going to say. I'm curious to get to know Claire Pollard more. And I think it's going to be a quick and fun read. Quick, fun, and informative. So this is what the wheel chose for me. There are 17 books left on that wheel. There were 27 books to begin with. Oh, maybe 28 because of Hell Sands. There are 28 books. So there are 18 books left on that wheel. I'm going to prioritize these books, read them first, and then I am going to, as I finish them, spin the wheel all month long to add a new book to the stack. I am going to try to read them in the order in which they were picked by the wheel. That is not something that I usually do. I usually make a big old TBR and then make tiny TBRs out of that big old TBR to fit my mood so that I can be a controlled and organized mood reader. But this month I am going to return to a more systematic way of reading and try to prioritize these and approach them in the order in which they came to me from the wheel. The wheel is my fate this month. And the thing is that I want to read all of these books. I do, even Lost Companions, which may be a bit of a reach for me. I do want to read them all, and I want to read one book at a time this month, which is why I am only starting with 10. For some of you, you're like, only 10, I read 4. That's fine. 10 is good. 10 is 15 less than I have been planning every month. So I'm going to read one book at a time and move through these. Some of them I will listen to on audio as well as read. I am going to try and not add audiobooks that are coming to me from my library that are not on this list, and I'm going to try to not add any pre-orders that may be trickling in. I think that I have into February of 2023, I think I have a total of 5 or 6 pre-orders left, and I am not going to make any more pre-orders. Also, I am not buying myself birthday book haul books this year. I have another plan for myself, and next year, I'm not saying I'm not going to buy any books, but next year I am going to approach my TBRs in a very different way, and I'm excited to tell you about that soon. In December, that'll be exciting. For now, though, I'm super excited to know what I will be reading. Here's what the Bloomin Readathon bingo board looks like for me right now. I'm only one away from a bingo on that 5th vertical line there, so very close, halfway meeting my goal. Excuse my coughing, as I said, I am sick. Yeah, I think this is going to be a great month. In the meantime, though, I still have 15 days, 15 glorious days of Victober and spooky reads left. I am definitely reading more Victober reads than I am spooky reads. They're just hitting the spot right now, and I'm absolutely loving everything I pick up, including Thomas Hardy, which is so weird because I do not like Thomas Hardy as a general rule. I have been keeping a month-long Victober reading vlog, and I'm going to be excited to post that for you at the end of October. And so, yeah, it's been a great month. It's been a great month reading-wise, and I think November is going to be another great month reading-wise. Are you participating in Nonfiction November? Are you doing the Bloomin Readathon, or are you doing something else? I would love to hear about it. I'd love to know if you've read any of these 10 books, or the 17 that I zoomed through that didn't make it on the 10 list picked by the spinning wheel. I will... She's crying. I gotta go. But I will, as the month progresses and as new books are added to this stack, I will record each spin and include each spin in my wrap-up. So definitely watch my November wrap-up, even if you don't normally watch my wrap-ups, because the TBR continues on in that wrap-up. So there'll be these 10 that I read, and I do think I will read them all. In addition to all the ones that will be added. And we'll see how many I can get through this month. I don't know. At least 10, but hopefully more. And we will see which ones the wheel picks for me as the month progresses. Anyway, this has been a little bit scattered and a little bit messy, and I think that that's really indicative of my life right now. So, yeah, a little bit scattered, a little bit messy, a lot of fun. I'll see you later. Let's go read.